Welcome everybody. We are at a very exciting point here because we're beginning not only a new Torah in Likutei Moharan, but a whole new section of Likutei Moharan. We just finished the section on the Sefer Ditzniusa, which is the section of the Zohar, the hidden book, which is a very, very holy section. And now we're starting a new section of Likutei Moharan that is based on a number of Gemaras in the tractate Bechoros. And it's very exciting. But what we'll do is I'm going to read in English in the Likutei Moharan from the Breslov Research Institute, this black one. The very beginning of this volume, we're now on volume 4. This is lesson 23, Chaf Gimel. It goes through the whole story. So we're going to read a lot of the story of what happened in the story in the Gemara from the Wise Men of Athens, the Sabei Atuna, and not every part exactly, but we're going to read some of it just so we know what the story is, and then we'll see the next number of lessons are based on these discussions. Okay, everybody with me? Okay, here we go. The Talmud relates. Once the Roman emperor asked Rabbi Yehoshua ben Chananiya the following question. So Rabbi Yehoshua ben Chananiya, by the way, was considered to be the Chakima de Yehudayin, which means the wisest of all the Jews of the time. The Chakima de Yehudayin. And he was like, his wisdom was known throughout the whole world. Sorry, just give me 1 second. I'm trying to just make this full screen over here. I know it ruins the story. His wisdom, Rabbi Yehoshua ben Chananiya, the wisest of all Jews, his wisdom was known throughout the world. So the Roman Empire asked him a question. He said to him, how long is the gestation period of a snake? And Rabbi Yehoshua answered, 7 years. When the emperor insisted that the Wise Men of Athens had mated 2 snakes, and the female gave birth after 3 years, Rabbi Yehoshua replied that the snake had already been pregnant for 4 years. When questioned how the snake could have mated once it was pregnant, Rabbi Yehoshua explains, in this, snakes are no different than humans. Okay, I won't get too deep into that. But these wise men are experts, the emperor argued. Welcome, Nancy. Perhaps, he said, but we are even smarter, Rabbi Yehoshua countered. If that's the case, the emperor demanded, then go to them, outsmart them, and bring them here. How many are they? There are 60 of them, Rabbi Yehoshua. There are 60 of them. Rabbi Yehoshua requested the emperor prepare for him a ship with 60 rooms, each with 60 chairs. When this was done, he set out for Athens. When Rabbi Yehoshua arrived in Athens, he entered a slaughterhouse. There, he found a butcher carving an animal. Rabbi Yehoshua said to him, sell me your head. All right, replied the butcher. When asked how much he wanted for it, the butcher replied that it would cost half a zuz. It's not that much money. Remember, in Pesach, by Chad Gadya, he sold the goat for 2 zuzim. So the head is only half a zuz. Rabbi Yehoshua handed him the money and said, now give me your head. The butcher handed him the head of the animal. I didn't ask for the animal's head, Rabbi Yehoshua insisted. I asked for your head. Now, if you want me to free you, start marching. Guide me to the entrance of the college of the Wise Men of Athens. The butcher protested, I'm afraid to take you there. If they catch someone pointing out their college, they kill him. Then take along a bundle of reeds, Rabbi Yehoshua advised, and when we come to their door, lower the bundle of reeds to the floor as though you were resting. When he came to where the wise men resided, Rabbi Yehoshua noticed that there were guards inside the entrance to prevent anyone from entering, and guards outside the entrance to prevent any of the elders from exiting. If the elders noticed a footprint of someone entering, does he say the sand? What is it? If the elders noticed a footprint of someone entering, they would kill the outer guards for having been negligent. If they noticed a footprint of someone leaving, they would kill the inner guards for having been negligent. As for the guards themselves, they would never kill anyone unless that person had either entered or exited entirely. What did Rabbi Yehoshua do? He reversed his sandals and stood in the entrance making footprints. So he put his sandals on backwards, so it looks like there were people walking out, and he stood in the middle. But they would only kill somebody if they came completely all the way in or out. So he's standing in the middle, in the no man's land over there. When the elders noticed the prince, they assumed that someone had left, so they killed all the inner guards. Then Rabbi Yehoshua again reversed his sandals and stood in the entrance making footprints. So he reversed them again, but stood in the same place. So they saw the footprints. When the elders noticed the prince, they assumed someone had entered, so they killed the rest of the guards. Rabbi Yehoshua was then able to enter. When he entered, he found the younger wise men sitting in the more prestigious upper gallery, and the older wise men sitting below. This was done intentionally in order to put the intruder at a disadvantage. If he greeted the elders, the younger ones would accuse him of having failed to show them respect due to them by virtue of their more prominent position. And if he first greeted the younger ones in the upper gallery, the elders would accuse him of having failed to show them respect due to them by virtue of their age. Thus, either way, they would have a claim against him and have put him to death. Right? They're trying to be tricky over here. Rabbi Yehoshua understood this and therefore greeted all the wise men of Athens at one time. "What business do you have here?" they asked. "I am a Jewish sage. I have come to learn wisdom from you," he answered. "If so, we shall ask you some questions." "Fine," said Rabbi Yehoshua. "If you get the better of me, you can do with me whatever you please. But if I prove the smarter, then I ask you break bread with me aboard my ship." Okay, the next whole section over here is going to be all the conversations that they had. So you can see already that the story is funny, and it's like these are supposed to be the wisest people in the universe and the wisest of the Jewish sages, but they're back and forth. There's like a little, okay, they're kind of trick each other a little bit. It's not the greatest wisdom in the universe. Right away, we can see that there's something deeper behind in between the lines that we don't quite grasp, right? Now, each one of the questions, the conversations that they have are very, very strange, and like you cannot make heads or tails of them. We're going to see those in a second. But I'm just going to tell you because there's a bunch of them. There's a few pages, so those are the things we're going to be discussing in the lessons. So let's just hear what happens with the end of the story, and then we'll go on. So he ends up outsmarting them. Seeing that he had succeeded in outsmarting the wise men of Athens, Rabbi Yehoshua called for them to fulfill their part of the agreement, to break bread with him aboard his ship. As the wise men arrived, Rabbi Yehoshua took each one into a separate room. When each one saw the 60 chairs, he assumed that his comrades would soon be joining him. Rabbi Yehoshua then instructed the captain to hoist anchor and set sail. Just before leaving Athens, Rabbi Yehoshua collected a bag of earth. When they were at sea, they came to an eddy that would swallow up all the water poured into it. Rabbi Yehoshua saw 3 images, one with its hands on its head, one with its hands on his heart, and the final one with its hands behind its back. He took out a small jug, and reaching over the side of the ship, filled it with water from the eddy. When they arrived in Rome, Rabbi Yehoshua presented the wise men of Athens to the emperor. Because they had been away from their own land for so long, the wise men behaved humble and restrained. They in no way resembled the proud and lordly wise men whom the emperor had been expecting. "These couldn't possibly be the men I asked you to bring before me," the emperor insisted. "Can you prove to me that these are the wise men of Athens?" he asked Rabbi Yehoshua. Removing a handful of earth from the bag which he had brought with him, Rabbi Yehoshua threw it upon the wise men. Immediately, the wise men of Athens sensed the familiar earth of their homeland and were transformed. In no time at all, their spirits were revived, and their aristocratic arrogance returned to them. Thinking they were close to home, they had no qualms about speaking defiantly and disdainfully to the emperor. "You may do with them whatever you wish," a convinced emperor instructed Rabbi Yehoshua. He was not happy. Producing the water which he had taken from the eddy, Rabbi Yehoshua poured it into a cistern. "Fill this entire cistern with water," he ordered the wise men, "and then you are free to go." The wise men began bringing buckets of water. However, no matter how much they poured into the cistern, it kept getting swallowed up by the water which Rabbi Yehoshua had already put there. The wise men of Athens continued lugging more and more water until they collapsed and died. End of story. From the Gemara.
Wow.
This is right from the Gemara. So, interesting story. Does this remind you of all the stories of Rabbi Bar Bar Chana from the earlier lessons? These crazy stories about the fish in the ocean and going through the desert and the big bones, all these, right? Remember these wild stories? So this is now another section based on these very interesting conversations. So, let's start. We're on Torah Lamed Gimel. That's lesson, Chaf Gimel. Lesson 23. And it's going to start off quoting one of these conversations that Rabbi Yehoshua ben Chananiya, the wisest of all Jews, had with the wise men of Athens, the Sabei, the Atuna. Okay, ready? What?
Fasten your seatbelt.
Yeah, here we go. Emelon mila de kedive. Tell us something false, they said to him. Amar lehu, havelan kadnaisa vilada. He said to them, we had a mule, and it gave birth. V'havetalya le piska, and there was tied around the neck of this fetus that it gave birth to a note. Ukesiv be demasik beve abba mea alfe zuze, and it was written on this little note that the father's the estate of the father of this baby mule owes me 1,000 coins. Amrule v'kadanaisa mia leda, and can a mule give birth? A male mule, by the way. Can a mule give birth? Amr lahu, hey ninu mila tegazive. You wanted something false? I gave you something false. Milcha kisaria b'ma malchale. Salt, when it spoils, what can you salt it with? Meaning what? Like salt is a preservative. So if you have something that you want to preserve, what do? You salt it, and it stops it from spoiling. So he said to them, but when salt spoils, what do you salt it with to stop it from spoiling? With the placenta of a mule. And so they said, is there such a thing as a placenta of a mule? Right? So I believe what's going on here, by the way, is that a mule is a type of animal that cannot reproduce. I think it's the mixture offspring of a horse and a donkey, if I remember correctly. So it's not something they can reproduce. So it's not, all these talks of reproductive organs and giving birth are not shaykh to a mule, right? So he said, is there such thing as a placenta of a mule? And so Rabbi Yehoshua ben Chananiya said back to them, Umilcha mi sarya, and can salt spoil? That's the conversation of the wisest people in the universe at the time. What do you think?
What do you put in, is it salt or sugar in the rice to make it salt? Salt, right? So you can.
What can you what?
You put rice.
That should stop it from clumping, not stop it from spoiling.
That's spoiling.
That's not, no, it means going rotten.
Oh.
Like spoiling, right? So what did they do? Like we're here in North America. We probably, anyone who grew up here and had to study, First Nations culture, you knew they made this type of meat stuff called dried salted buffalo meat called pemmican, right? So they would just dry it out and salt it, right? You have all these kind of preserved things that were made with salt. That was how they kept them dry, salted. There's all kinds of salted fish, right? That it gets preserved and kept, cured. Right, so this was a method of preservation. So this is one of those things where if you were to learn this Gemara, sometimes Rashi says in different places in the Gemara and in Chumash, he says, Mikra zeh loy omer loy ela darsheni. This verse that we're learning right here is screaming out to us, darshan me, like I'm saying something much deeper than what's on the surface level here. When you read this, you can't say anything other than there must be something else going on here, because the Tanaim and the Amarayim of the Gemara do not say things, do not put in one word that is not meaningful and necessary. So what is this story talking about? That's what we have to ask. We'll see what the explanations of Rashi for those Mila de Kedive, Davar Kazav. Sometimes by the way, here's an interesting Hebrew Aramaic grammar. In the Zion of Hebrew, sometimes switches to a Daled in Aramaic. So it's Kadav, which is Kazav, Hebrew, right? Also, you see in Aramaic, sometimes the Shin and the Tuf is switched out. So Isha is the word for a woman in Hebrew, and in Aramaic it's Ittisa with a Tuf, because it changes out, right? So some of these words don't change. Kadaraisa is a pirda, which is a mule. He says, translated in English, a hini. I don't know what that means. Tala piska shtar betzavare shel havalad. So there was a document hanging on the neck of this animal. Heini numile de kedive eluhem divrei kazav. These are the false words that you wanted to hear. Silusa is a shilia, which is a placenta. Okay, good. This is Loshen Rabbeinu Zichron Levracha. This Torah is not something that Rabbi Nassan heard from Rabbi Nachman and wrote it in his own words. This is copied directly from the writings of Rabbi Nachman himself, which means that often it's like when Rabbi Nassan would give something over, he would explain a lot more. So it's shorter a little bit and a little bit more terse, and it may require some more explanation by us, but we'll see how it goes. So he also brings that story, and now a pasuk from Tehillim. Tzivisa tzedek edeisecha ve'emuna me'od. You commanded the justice of your testimonies and mighty faithfulness. Ve'emuna me'od. Okay? Keep that in our minds, and we'll see where it takes us. Let's go. Here we go. Ki yesh panim de kedusha. There is a face of holiness, countenance of holiness. Shehem anpin nahorin, shining faces. Bechinas chayim, which is an aspect of life. Like the pasuk says in Mishlei, Be'or panei melech chayim, the light of the face of the living God. Right? So there's an aspect of what's called anpin nahorin, illuminated faces. Panim de kedusha, faces of holiness. On the one hand, there are, we had this thing called the or hapanim in previous Torahs, which is a projection of spiritual light from the structures in the Kabbalistic universes, right? Or hapanim, it's a light that comes down that we can receive in the right circumstances. But additionally, it refers to the faces of people who are holy people. So let's keep going. We'll see a little bit what it means. But there's such a type of thing of a person having a shining face, an illuminated face, when they're in this aspect of holiness, whatever that means. We'll keep going. We'll see. Bechina simcha, and this type of shining face is connected to simcha, to joy, to happiness. Like the pasuk says, "Soiva simachas es paneka" in Tehillim, that the fullness of joy is in your face, right? So face is something. Joy is something that can be seen on the face, on this lit up face that we're talking about. Ukesiv, one second. Vatechi ruach Yaakov, ze bechina simcha, and we see this aspect of Yaakov when Yaakov finally was brought back together with Yosef. He was sad for 22 years, and when he was finally brought back together with his son, his spirit was revived. Meaning, when he had simcha again, right? So he it's like he became alive again. Vatechi ruach Yaakov. So we see we're connecting here together the concept of simcha, joy, happiness, to the shining face, and the concept of life. And life, you could think about it in any way you want. Life force, just being alive, life, really, really living, right? Want to say something, Fred?
So, when you were saying that, I was picturing like a bride that's glowing.
Yeah.
One says simcha.
Yeah.
And also you say to a pregnant woman, you're glowing, and there's
Right.
a life form
Yeah.
inside of her.
Very good. Life.
Right.
Yeah. Okay, very good. Okay, so this is the first side. Simcha, shining face. Right? Just imagine for a second. There's certain times you see somebody and they're happy, they're holy people, they're always positive. So when you see them, their face means something different. And when you see that face, it gives you something. It lifts you up, and then we're going to see the other side now. Literally. V'yesh panim de sitra achra. Then there's the face of the other side, meaning the sitra achra, like the other side, as opposed to holiness, the evil side, let's say. Shehem anpin chashuchim. They're dark faces. Mara shechora. Mara shechora is usually translated as melancholy. but it literally means black bile. Why? So it's in this ancient medicine, it was thought to be that I think the gallbladder and maybe the liver also, they produce certain types of things. Not kidney, I don't know. Gallbladder is for sure one of them. They produced these things that caused sadness, melancholy, these like personality issues, right? So the gallbladder produces this black bile, and so this unhappiness, melancholy that a person would be involved in was given the name Mara Shechara. It's a type of sadness, a type of melancholy. Mara Shechara. But you see, we're going from the face of illumination and light and happiness to the face of darkness, which is sadness. Mara Shechara. It's all talking about darkness as opposed to illumination, which is what? Avodah Zara, idol worship. Kamesha Kosev, like how do we see this? Lo yeh lecha elokim acherim al panai. Do not have other gods over my face. Meaning what? The face of Hashem is the illuminated face. It's the face of holiness, the face of happiness, right? And so what does not go together with that? To that face of Hashem is elokim acherim, other gods, Elohim acherim, other gods, right? So on the one hand, illumination, happiness, life, holiness of the face. And on the other side, we have Sitra Achra, darkened face, sadness, and idol worship of Avodah Zarah. You with me, guys? We're building up. You know how it is when we start a new Torah. We're building up all these new concepts that we're going to see how they link together later on. Okay, so he brings down something over here from Reb Nosson. Reb Nosson says that the face of something sort of represents what its real essence is, right? So what does that mean? Why is a panim? He doesn't bring this down, but why is a face called a panim? What does the word mean? It's a very unusual word. First of all, it's plural, right? But also, panim means like panim, means the inside. Why? Like we say, panimius Torah is the inner aspect of Torah. Bifnim means inside something, inside a person. Panim, a face, is called inside because the face shows what's going on the inside, right? You have to be a really good liar to be able to really cover up and not show what's going on the inside. Some people don't have the skill, Baruch Hashem. They're just straightforward, and whatever's on their face, that's what's going on, right? They can't fake it. I know a few people like this.
My grandparents used to call me Shana Punim.
Oh yeah? Okay. That's because they knew what your real insides were, right? So that's why panim, the face, means your inside. Because when you see a person's face, you see what's on the inside. The expressions on a face, the whole it's so nuanced, right? It really shows what's going on in someone's inside. That's why panim's called that. But so what does that mean, though? It's showing really something about that person, who they are, what they are, right? So too, the concept of face, of panim, refers to the real, true essence of something, what something really is. So in this realm, the face of Hashem is the Tillim says, Bakshu panav tamid, always look for the face of Hashem. That means it's referring to a person who's always looking to really see Hashem, right? We should always be looking to really find Hashem for real, to find who Hashem really is. All the Zohar HaKadosh says our purpose in the universe is begin the ishtamedayin is in order that we should know Hashem. So a person who's looking with truth to always find Hashem wherever they go, that's the main truth. Is the main aspect of Hashem. Where do we see this? This is Hashem's essence, because we say Choismai Shel HaKadosh Baruch Hu Emes. The insignia, the signature, the seal of Hashem is truth. So if we are always looking with truth, we're always looking for truth. That's the person who's always looking for Hashem. That's the person who's Bakshu Panav Tamid, who's always searching for Hashem. We must be attached to truth. And we're going to see, this is like foreshadowing. Today, we're going to see how this is an absolute necessary connection to the concept of truth. Okay. Still with me? Okay. Let's go weiter. Now we're going to get to the first of one of the main topics over here. So, darkness, sadness, sitra achra, evil, avodah zarah, idol worship. Ve'elu b'nei adam, hanoiflin b'taivas mamoin. These people who fall into the desire for money. Ve'enam ma'aminim shakadosh baruch hu yochel lefarnes es ha'adam b'siba kala, and they don't believe that Hashem can give someone their parnasa, their sustenance, their money, in a simple way, in an easy way. V'roidfein achar parnasasam b'yegiyos gedolos, and they go after their parnasa with tremendous effort. V'hein oichle lechem b'yitzavain. These are the people that eat their bread with sadness. Kamoy shekosef, like the pasuk says, all the way back by Adam Arishan. With sadness, sorrow, will you eat your bread. This was one of the curses that was given to Adam Arishon after the sin. Right? Ve'atzvus, hu mara shachora. Sadness is the same thing as this mara shachora that we're talking about. This aspect of darkness, darkened faces, sadness. Elu b'nei adam niksharim befanim desitra achra. These people are attached to, are bound to the face of the sitra achra, of the evil side. Choshech, darkness. Bechinas misa, an aspect of death. K'mo shekosev, b'machashakim toshivani. He set me in darkness as those long dead. So it says in Eicha. He put me into a place of darkness, b'machashakim, in darkness, the place where people have been dead for a long time. V'aleihem ne'amar, we're going to go back and talk about this. V'zahavam lenida, and it says about them that their gold is impurity, is totally impure. Like the word nida. Haino b'chinas avodah zarah. This is the aspect of avodah zarah. Chazal say, Menayin l'avodah zarah shemetame kanida. Where do we see that avodah zarah causes someone to be impure, like nida? Shene'amar tizreim kamoy dava. Cast them away like a nida, like the impurity of a nida. Okay, let's go back and put all this together. This thing that we're talking about, the person with the darkened face and the sadness and the other side, the evil side, and avodah zarah, is a person who has fallen into taivas mammon, the desire for money. So what does this mean? Happens to be, I was talking to someone today about the concept of money, and money doesn't have intrinsic evil to it whatsoever. In fact, money is very, very important, and a person should do what they need to do to make money. You can't make Shabbos without money. You can't, tefillin nowadays cost a couple $1,000, right? To have guests over, to give tzedakah, it's all very expensive, right? To just buy kosher food nowadays is very difficult. It's very expensive. All these things cost money, and not only that, but we can beautify mitzvahs. We can do all kinds of amazing things with money, right? Then Aron Kodesh in a shul costs a lot of money. Everything costs money, and money, when used properly and when we have the right perspective with it, is important and can even be holy. Even be holy. Right? We have commandments related to money. We have mitzvahs. Jews give tzedakah, a lot of tzedakah. I saw before, I can't remember where, but that in censuses, surveys, whatever, statistics, North America, that like Jews are way out of whack with the rest of the world with the amount of charity that they give. Mm-hmm. Right? It's important. These are mitzvahs. We have to, but you can't do it without money. Hashem does not want us to be poor. And Hashem does not want us. Rabbi Nachman, in another place, he was talking to his students, and they didn't have a lot of money, and he advised them that it's important to have a good job, to make money. And so one of his students asked him, but Rebbe, wouldn't a person have stronger emunah if they didn't have a good job, they didn't work, and so they didn't make a lot of money, and so they had to just rely on Hashem. Where's my stuff going to come from? And Rabbi Nachman said, you're right, that if someone was in that situation and they had emunah, it would be very strong. But it's very, very, very difficult to live in that way and to have emunah in that way. Better, you should have a good job with money and have some security, and from there build your emunah. Rabbi Nachman said it's important to have money. If you remember in the story of the lost princess, he asked for 3 things to start his journey. One of which was money. I need to have money. I need resources to do well in the world. We have to have resources. However, right? There's a big however. We're talking about taivas mammon. A taiva is a word that we use usually referring to like a physical desire. Usually it's a physical desire, like the taiva for physical pleasures, for food, for alcohol, maybe for sleep, resting, for sexual desires. These things are physical desires that we get pulled with. They're like almost uncontrollable, right? So there's a way to relate to money where I realize that it's important and that it's good, and I have to do my part to make money. But there's another way to relate to it, and that's when it becomes a tumendika desire, like an addiction, like and it's tied to ego. I want to have money because money gives power, and money I can show people how wealthy I am and how good I am. When people ask me how much money do you make, I can say, oh, I do great. I have investments and I have this and I have, right? I can buy a fancy car. I can, right? It's all when it turns into a powerful desire, and I'm looking for money not to do holy things, but rather for its own purpose and to fulfill my taivas and my ego and all these things. Then it's called, we're going to see, but he's connecting it to, but we're going to see also, it's called idolatry. It's idolatry. It's ascribing power and importance to something other than Hashem, right? In a serious way. And this will tear a person down. Will bring a person, the Gemara says, if a person has 100, they want 200. The more money someone has, it's not if they have 1,000, they want 2,000. No. It's exponential. The more a person has, the less satisfied they'll be with what they have. Right? It's a whole different place to be in. So it's all connected over here. It's all this negativity is seen. It's not only, but it's seen in such a person who is totally tied down to taivas mammon, to the desire for money, and it brings impurity. Aval. Elu b'nei adam she'masam matanam be'emunah, but these people who their business dealings is with emunah. Heim devekim ba'or hapanim de kedusha. They are attached to and clinging to the or hapanim, the illuminated face of kedusha, of holiness. Let's just go back 1 second. It's just something struck me over here. What did Rabbi Nachman say is this person? What is this person doing? This is important. The person doesn't believe that Hashem can provide them with their income in a simple way. So what does this look like? This is serious Chacham and Tam discussion over here from our Monday class, right? But just imagine a person. They're going to the ends of the world and they're working nonstop. And they're so focused on business and on earning money and on the next that they're traveling far distances. They're always busy. They're not putting focus in their life where it should be. They're nonstop. They're pushing and pushing and pushing, as if it's all dependent on me. As if I'm only going to make money if I do everything. It's all up to me. It's a tremendous ego trip, right? It's all up to me. They don't believe, this is where his words are very special. They don't believe that Hashem can provide them with their sustenance in a more simple way. So I heard Maimon said that like Sometimes it's the opposite. Sometimes it's those days that a person doesn't work for 12 hours in one day. But that's the day where Hashem gives them something and more parnasa comes. Right? But the idea is like this. We have to understand, we have to acknowledge that our strength does not come, our power, our money, everything we have is not the result of our own hands. It's not me. So we have this. There's this statement that we say all the time from Chumash: "Koichi va'otzem yadi, asas kol hachal hazeh." Lest a person think that it's my strength and the power of my hands that built everything that I have. Right? This is a person who is gone, who's lost his connection to Hashem. This is the way that someone who thinks like this. Of course, I have to work. I have to work nonstop. I have to spend all my time doing this. But someone who has total emunah and knows that Hashem runs the world still will work hard. Be a hard worker, like we said on Monday, right? Patience, perseverance, hard work are tremendously important. But this person will work the way he's supposed to, in a normal way. And then this person will go and spend time with their family. Will go to shul. Will study Torah. Will do tzedakah. Will go deliver Tomchei Shabbos. We'll do all kinds of good things. We'll learn. But will not spend all their time non-stop focused on work. Not only is it unhealthy, everyone's heard, right? I'm sure we've said it many times, right? At the end of your life, the person not upstairs. At the end of your life on your deathbed, the person never says, "I should have worked harder. I wish I would have spent more time in the office." Right? It's a cliche, but it's totally true. Right? This stuff is not important. It's not what we want to focus our lives on. There's so many more important things. So it's not about whether money is good or money is evil. That's not the point at all. It doesn't even matter. The point is, how do I relate to it? How does it speak of me and my emunah, my actions in the world? What am I doing? Right? So too, people who fall into difficulties with money often find themselves doing things that they shouldn't do, hovering around the realms of legal and illegal, right? And getting sucked into things and doing all kinds of gambling and like who knows what, right? It's all an aspect of impurity, of sadness, of darkness, right? So the Tam in the story, the Tam and the Chacham, he starts off as a shoemaker. And he does his simple work. And slowly but surely, every day, with tamimus, perseverance, simplicity, he grows and he grows and he grows and he grows. And he does what he does, and he knows that Hashem provides. He does his part. And the Chacham is just looking everywhere. Oh, what if I go over here? What if I go over here? Oh, can I make more money with this guy? What if this job that I have, what if the market crashes and I better get a different job? And he's always looking somewhere else and trying to outsmart himself and everybody around him. Right? He never thinks, okay, I'm going to do my job because Hashem will take care of it. I always say to people, we can only do our part and know that we are not responsible for the outcome. I'm going to do my part, and then I'm going to know that Hashem's going to give me what I need. This is a mindset of emunah that is totally different from someone who is absolutely absorbed in taivas mammon, in the desire for money. Right? Very, very different existence. And if I could say so also, we're all going to have a balance. And everyone's going to be different depending on who they are and where they are in their life, where they are in their growth pattern. How much do I have to work? How much do I have emunah? What's my mindset? What am I working towards? It's all part of the picture of a person of emunah, right? And the person with emunah is going to be happy if their emunah is strong. They're going to be, he's telling us over here, what are you going to be? You're going to be that person who when you walk into the room, there's a smile, there's an illumination, and there's happiness, and there's holiness. Why? Because a person is doing what they're supposed to do in the world. They're attaching to holiness. Mashen Kain, the person who's just focused on this, is just always upset, always worried, always nervous, always angry. It's a different person, and everyone in between. With me, guys? Mm-hmm. Yeah? Okay. Aval, yeah, we did this, okay. Yeah, aval elu bnei adam shemasam umatam be'emuna. These people that do their business with emuna, heim devekim ba'or hapanim de kedusha. They are connected to the illuminated face of holiness. Ki ein emuna b'lei emes, because it's not possible to have emuna without emes, truth. Without truth, we're now connecting back to that thing that we said in the first place. The essence of Hashem is truth, is emes. So if we're connecting to Hashem and if we're living with emunah, it has to be together with truth. Let's see what this means. Kamuva b'Zohar, like it's brought in the Zohar HaKadosh, Hainu tzedek, hainu emunah. The Gemara, the Zohar asked that he says this is what's the difference, I guess you could say, between tzedek, justice, and emunah. Umasik sham emuna iskris kadischa ba emes. That emuna is called emuna only when it is attached to truth. Nimtza she'ikar emuna al yedei emes. The main aspect of emuna comes through emes. We're making an important connection over here. That emuna and emes cannot be separated. They have to be together. The emes hu or hapanim kedu, and truth, emes, is the or hapanim, is the illuminated face. We said that someone who's a person of emunah, who's always seeking Hashem, right? Bakshu panav tamid, panai tamid. Always seek my face. And the face represents the inner dimension, the essence of a thing. And Chosmer Shel Kadosh Baruch Hu emes, the signature of Hashem, the seal of Hashem is truth. Right? So that means someone who's seeking Hashem always has to be seeking and looking with truth. Looking with truth, with emes. Now, I'm going to say something a little bit outside off the page over here, but think about it. This person that I was speaking today about money, I said to them that when it comes to money, virtually nobody is 100% holy, 100% perfect. Money, there's always ego attached to it. There's always something attached, whatever, even different people with differing levels. But there's always some aspect of ego attached to money, right? Nobody wants to, when people ask him, oh yeah, how you doing? How's things? How's business? Nobody wants to say, really not making any money. It's not great. And thank you for asking, right? Nobody wants to say that. It doesn't feel good. It doesn't feel good to not be successful. It doesn't feel good to not have money. It feels embarrassing to tell people if you don't have money, right? We all have, to whatever extent, every person has some attachment to money that is not emistic. It's not coming from the right place. It's coming from fear and embarrassment and all these types of places, right? So everyone on their own level, in differing and their own different circumstances. So you can see how the more far we are removed from truth, the worse our relationship with money will be. The farther away from holiness will be. Because in order to be good in a good place with emunah and money, we just have to be totally truthful, totally authentic, and we have to be on that path of emunah. We have to say, oh, how's my money doing? Okay, I'm here. I have food, right? Never things are difficult, but okay, Hashem provides what I need, right? There's a story he brings over here about a person when this whole Torah was said over to one of the students of Rabbi Nachman called Reb Lipa. And Reb Lipa was actually, he lived in Nemerov where Reb Nosson lived. And he came to Rabbi Nachman a few weeks before Reb Nosson first met him. And he met Rabbi Nachman and he was like on fire. He finally found his Rebbe, Rabbi Nachman. And he came back to Nemerov and he told Reb Nosson and Reb Naftali about his experience. And then the next week they went. That's when Reb Nosson first met Rabbi Nachman. And they spent the Yontif with him, and that was right before Rosh Hashanah. And so he was very pumped and very excited, and he was married to a girl who was from a Chassidish family, and she was very excited also. Everything was going good. And however, this Reb Lipa had a burning desire for money. And he went to Rabbi Nachman and asked him for a bracha. They should have a lot of money. And Rabbi Nachman felt that this is not good for him. And he said to him, I don't think it's good for you to have money. I'm not going to give you this blessing. This is not good for you. And he got very upset. And he left and he didn't talk to Rabbi Nachman for a long time. He ended up coming back a little later, but he never came back to who he was. He was so eaten up by this desire for money that it crushed him. He couldn't deal. His wife started getting upset with him. And it happened that a little while later, his family had a wagon driver, and the wagon driver, they were driving alone one time, and they drove off a side road, and the wagon driver was going to kill him. So he asked him to please don't kill me, please just let me do one more mitzvah, and he said okay. So he started davening mincha and crying, and so this wagon driver had mercy on him, and didn't kill him, and they went back. And then Rabbi Lipa fired him because he couldn't trust him anymore, obviously. And a few weeks later, this wagon driver went back and killed him. And that's the whole story of Rabbi Lipa. Tragic story. But the reason why it's connected to here is Rabbi Nachman gave over this Torah specifically when he was the main subject of this Torah that is discussing this drive and tremendous powerful desire for money and what it can do to a person. And Rabbi Lipa, unfortunately, is a person who got very pulled down by it, right? So, there's some people who desire to have a lot of money and who are always looking for and they could have. I know someone who tells me they have no money, but they have a few $100,000 in the bank. They're just not really, don't have a lot of cash flow, right? And they have food and they have everything for their family. And they have a lot more than many, many other people. And they literally call themselves poor. So, this is a good person, by the way. This is a very good person. A very sweet, good person. But where does this perspective come from? Where does this person before? It's all a journey. And we're all in a different place in this continuum. It's not a place to judge people because it's a very hard subject. It's a very, very hard subject. But the point that I'm trying to make over here, I know I'm talking a lot, is that Hashem is going to put us in a place that we need to be. And as long as we are being emesdik, as long as we are searching for the truth, as long as we're trying to be authentic with ourselves and who we are and what we have and what we're working towards, and we're always really looking for Hashem, then with emunah, and that we just said, emunah and truth must be together. Emunah doesn't work without truth. As long as we're on that path, we're gonna move out of whatever our struggles are with money. It may mean that we're just gonna be okay with what we have, which is a huge blessing, and we should be very, very happy. Or it may mean that more money will come. Who knows? Who knows what will be? But as we're saying, it's not the money. Money is not evil or good. It's how we are connected to it, how we are relating to it. Still with me? Or am I making anybody upset? Okay. Right, okay. Ki ein emuna b'lo emes. K'emuna b'zoyer. Hainu tzedek. Oh, we said this already, sorry. And it's this. Emes, the or upon is from emes. It's all part of this same ingredient. Mezeh sha'amru chachamenu zal. This is what Chazal said. Vayichan panei ha'ir. Okay. We're going to bring now Yaakov Avinu into the story. So, when Yaakov Avinu when he came back to Eretz Yisrael, and he arrived in Shechem, so the pasuk says, "Vayichan panei ha'ir," that he, you would say maybe he camped in the face of the city, but Vayichan, he graced, he did something good to the face of the city. Once again, it's panei ha'ir, right? So what does this mean? The Gemara says over here, the Gemara in Shabbos, Chad Amar Matbeya Tiken Lehem. One opinion is what did he do to the city that was good over here? He instituted currency. Matbeya is like coins. He instituted currency for the city. V'chad Amar Merchatzais Tiken Lehem. That he instituted bathhouses for them. Okay? That's what the Gemara says. Like a mikveh. Yes, exactly. That's what we're going to see. So, Rabbi Nachman says, Hainu hach v'lei pligi. Really, they're the exact same thing, and they're not arguing. They're the same thing. Ki Yaakov, hu bechinas emes. Yaakov is the person who's called emes. Right? The pasuk says, he brings it, K'moshe Kasav, Titein emes leYaakov. He gives truth to Yaakov. Hu bechinas or hapanim. This aspect of or hapanim, the illuminated face, the beautiful holy countenance. V'teichev cheshaba nistakan ha'amuna. And as soon as he arrived in Shechem, Emuna was fixed up, was misakin. Why? Because he brought truth. So how do we know? 1 second. Yeah. So Yaakov is called truth, and he instituted these two things. So what does it mean over here? Matbeya tikein lehem. It doesn't mean. Oh, he's going to explain now. Sorry. Bezeh matbeya tikein. So this is what it means. So the way we translated it, which is the normal translation, is that he instituted tikein matbeya, currency for this place. That's not what it means. Tikein taivas mamon. He rectified for them the desire for money, the taivas mamon. Tikein matbeya. He fixed up. He rectified their currency, their taiva for mamon. Ukeshetikein taivas mamon. And once he was misakin, once he rectified the taiva of for money in this place, nistaken pagam avodah zarah. Now the pagam, the blemish of avodah zarah, is already fixed up, is already rectified. V'zehu merchatza is tiken lehem. This is what it means that he instituted for them bathhouses, like Vered said, meaning mikvahs. K'moshe Kasav, v'tered bas para lirchotz. Pasuk says about Batya, the daughter of Paroi, when she came down to the water in order to what does it say? Lashon lirchotz, to bathe, right? So what was she doing for real over there? She wasn't just coming to bathe. She was becoming Jewish then, and she was going to raise Moshe Rabbeinu, right? She was going down into the water to bathe as a mikvah, because when someone converts to Judaism, especially if they're leaving avodah zarah, one of the main steps in conversion is the mikvah. So she had to ritually bathe to purify herself from the tumah of Mitzrayim, right? So this is what Yaakov did. He went there and he was masakin. He rectified their desire for money and rectified their bathhouses, meaning their mikvahs. He purified them from the avodah zarah, the idol worship that goes along with the desire for money. So says Rabbi Nachman, Hainu it's the same thing. They're not arguing. What did he do over there? These two things are the one thing that he did. The Chazal say over there in the Gemara Megillah that when she went down to the river, she was washing herself from the idols of the house of her father. That's what she was doing. So,
is she conscious of it?
Yeah.
I think according to the standard understanding of the story, yeah, I think so. This is what it means, that he graced the city's countenance, the city's face. Panei daika. It's specifically, this is why the actual pasuk says, he went and graced the face of the city. What does that mean? Shepanim de sitra achra. It was the face of the evil side. It was this darkened, blackened, tumadika, bitter, sad, black bile face. That's what Shechem was at the time. And he came and rectified all this. And what was he doing to that? He was vayichan. He brought grace to the face of that city and turned it into shehi matbeya, hainu taivas mamain. This is what he did. Ki chol avodah zaros techuvin b'mamain. All idolatry is based in money. All idolatry is based in money. Ubishvil zeh mamain im oisyosav gematria kuf mem. And it's for this reason that the word mamain, if you find the gematria of this word together with its 4 letters, comes out to 140. Keneged kuf mem kalin, corresponding to the 140 voices shehashechina tzoyachas, that the Shechina, the divine presence, cries out. Kalani meroshi, kalani mizroi. He said, heavy is my head, heavy is my arm, meaning the Shechina is in pain. Why? The Gemara in Sanhedrin says, Al elu hanoiflim b'tavas mamoin. This screaming, crying out of the Shekhinah is crying for those who have fallen into this unbearable desire for money. Shehem avodah zara, kalulim me avodah zares shel shivim umos, which are made up from the avodah zara of the 70 nations. So the we're going to say something interesting over here. Just before we get there, let's go back to Yaakov for a second. We said emes liYaakov, titin emes liYaakov, give truth to Yaakov. So Yaakov Avinu is this Indian of truth, right? So we're going to connect now that, and we saw v'techi ruach Yaakov, that when he got back together with Yosef, his spirit was like reignited. He became happy again, right? And also Yaakov's truth. So we're connecting the happiness to life and truth. How else do we say that Yaakov is like the poster boy, if I could say such words, I don't know, is like the prime example of life, right? So there's a statement that who says this? I think it's in the Gemara. I think the Gemara Tainus says this. One of the old Kabbalists bring this down, but the words emes liYaakov. If you take the letters emes liYaakov and you just change around the l of Yaakov and the letters of emes, you take the aleph, put it in front of the lamed, and then you're left with mem and taf. It's Yaakov lo mes. Yaakov never died. He's like the epitome of life, right? He's truth. He's happiness. He's simcha. He's life. Emes liYaakov. What's the emes of Yaakov? It's all this put together. This is the or upon him. This is the illumination of the face and the holy or upon him of from the upper realms. This is what Yaakov had. So, Taivas Mammon is avodah zarah, is idolatry, and it pulls a person down and brings us into this terrible place. And just let's. We're going to finish the paragraph here, so we get to the next letter. Va'alkein heim kuf mem kalin. That's why it's 140 voices that the Shechina cries out to this person who falls into the Taivas Mammon. Shem shtei pamim ayin. It's 2 times 70. Why? Ki Shechina tzayachas kalin kafulim. The Shechina cries out double cries. Bechinas kalin mereshi kalin mizroi, because he's crying out from the pain of the head and the pain of the arm. Shubikinos koilos kafulim. Double cries out. Hainu shnei pamim ayin kalin. It's 2 times 70 cries. Shetzevachas hashechina al hanoiflim b'tavas mammon. That Shechina cries out for those who have fallen into the Taivas Mammon, the desire for money. She avodah zara kalula mikol avodah zaris shel ayin umos. Because it's avodah zara. So he's saying over here that avodah zara, of all of the negative spiritual energies, it's the one that encompasses them all. So all of the different 70 nations, they all have their own negative spiritual trait, right? We don't have to go into them right now. But avodah zara is the one that encompasses them all. So avodah zara is 70. It's all those other 70 belief systems outside of just the belief in Hashem, right? So when the Shechina cries out twice for this person who's fallen into Taivas Mammon, which is avodah zara, it's that 70. The 70 aspects of avodah zara that the Shechina cries out 70 times for this person, but she cries out twice. The Shechina, she cries out twice in 2 sets of 70, so it's 140. With me? Just stick with me. We're almost there. This is what Chazal say. The Gemara in Pesachim. Kashin to ladies. I apologize. I didn't say this. He's saying it. Okay. Kashin mazonoisav kiflayim kayoleda. It's twice as hard for a person to have parnasa, sustenance, as it is giving birth. Okay?
Is that why at birth you only call out 70 cries?
That's right. So how do we see this? Ki hayaledes ramas ayin kalin koydem haleda. Because the yaledes, the lady giving birth, she cries. We had this in a previous Torah. She cries out 70 cries giving birth, and it's that concept of 7 and 70. Remember, that brings out a new birth. Right? We had this whole thing. It was totally amazing. Right? V'hacha yesh kuf mem. But over here, there's it's twice as much. The Shechina is crying twice as much as the lady who cries out giving birth. Shem shnei pamim ayin. It's 2 times 70. So there's a. Does he bring it over here? this parak of Tehillim called that we say on a weekly basis, Ya'ancha Hashem be'is tzara, right? And it cries out. There's 70 words in this Tehillim, corresponding to the 70 cries that a woman gives out spiritually or actually while giving birth. But those 70 cries are extremely powerful, right? But here we're saying the Shekhinah cries twice as much for someone who's trapped in Taivas Mammon. Meaning to say that in some way, Taivas Mammon is twice as difficult as giving birth. In a spiritual type of sense over here. Meaning, just imagine what that means. Like, this blows my mind. Like, because when a woman's crying 70 times and she's giving birth, like, do you know what's going on over here? First of all, I mean, just in the normal sense, she's giving birth. A new soul is coming into the world. A new soul is coming to the world. A little baby. And she's going to be connected with. It's like a amazing physical, spiritual idea, the whole thing, right? But beyond that, there's a whole lot of negative forces that want to stop this baby from being born. And that's why we have all these things with Ayin Ra, right? Like, we're not supposed to buy anything for babies before they're born. Because there's so much negative energy that wants to stop this. We just do anything we can to avoid it. It's so powerful and so amazing. And it's such a big deal, right? So much is happening over here on a spiritual level. And so it's a huge time. It's a dangerous time. It's a bit of a scary time. And we're saying someone who's brought into this existence of money, they're twice as worse off. It's so powerful. It's so powerful. This experience that the lady's having, which is the most powerful thing that's ever going to happen to her, presumably, this person who's fallen into money is facing that level of enormity twice as much somehow.
Which is very interesting.
It's amazing.
Because when you're giving birth, there's no choice. It's going.
Right.
But with money, you have choice. So with that choice, becomes more difficult.
Right. I hear.
That's all I'm feeling.
It's something up to you. It's like something. Yeah. But it's such a powerful draw. I mean, maybe what you're saying is very good. Like, it's almost like you don't have a choice with Taivas Mammon. It's so powerful, like such an addiction. Should have a few more sentences here. Mezeu va'al tihi rasha bifnei atzmecha, and this is what it means. Don't be a rasha in your own eyes. That's how I would translate it. But he says bifnei ze bechinas panim b'sitra achra. Don't bifnei atzma means sort of in your own eyes, but pnei is the word for face, right? This means it's referring to the panim of the sitra achra, the face of the evil side. Habal b'chas Taivas Mammon. Don't be this guy. Don't become someone with this face, this dark, tumadik, whatever, all those negative, depressing, sad, spiritually devoid face. Don't be that person. Shein ma'amin b'Hakadosh Baruch Hu, that doesn't believe in Hashem, person without emunah. Shehu zan u'mafarnes, that he is the one who gives us sustenance and gives us money. V'hu choyshev koichi v'oitzim yad. This guy thinks, no, koichi v'oitzim yadi asa li esachayil hazeh. It's me who makes the money, the person thinks. Don't be this person. V'zeh atzmecha. This is what it means, atzmecha. Lashon oitzim yadi. So the verse that we're saying over here in Pirkei Avos, al tihi rasha bifnei atzmecha. Don't be an evil person of evil face, of this negative face. Why would you be such a person? Because of atzmecha. If you think that you're the one who's you're the only power in the world, you don't have emunah in Hashem. You don't believe that everything you have comes from Hashem and that He's giving you your sustenance and needs, and whatever you have is what you need, and whatever you need you will get. If you don't have this connection to Hashem in the realm of emunah, right? Then it's because you think it's me. I have to do it. I have to do it. So Pirkei Avos is telling us, stay away from this realm. Okay, so we're finishing off here. We're in a bit of an intense place, and it's a bit. It's almost a bit like, what's intense is a good word. It's heavy stuff over here. But we have to know, Rabbi Nachman is the ultimate guide. This Torah is going to give us the advice that we need, and he's going to help us all. We're all attached to money in a negative way somehow, on whatever level we are. And this is our biggest opportunity to take the advice of Rabbi Nachman and to be able to work on this, to be able to remove ourselves from this negative association with money, this negative spiritual connection that we have with money. We're together now going to move forward. We're going to learn the advice. We're going to move out of it. And we're all on our own level going to grow some step forward with regards to our connection to money. And through that, we'll grow in our emunah. We'll grow in our simcha. We'll grow in our liveliness, and we'll grow in the illumination of our face. We'll mamash experience a whole different spiritual existence. Each one of us, as long as we stick with it and we try to do what Rabbi Nachman tells us. We always say, what do we always say? We say that also, but we always say we're not learning this because we like to hang out and use our brains. I mean, it's true, but we're learning it because we're gonna do it. We're lilmud lalamid velasais. We're learning it so that we can do, so that we can take the advice of Rabbi Nachman and put it into place. Earlier on, I'll just remind us all because we're in a new section over here. In Torah Dalet, Rabbi Nachman told us what does it mean to be connected to a tzaddik. One of the main points was that you learn the Torah of that tzaddik, but not only that, you follow the advice that tzaddik gives you, right? If we really want to develop a deep connection with Rabbi Nachman and experience all of his Torah on a much deeper level, we have to be connected. And the way we're connected is we say, yeah, I'm with you. I want to be connected. How am I going to be connected? I'm going to listen. I'm going to follow your advice. I'm going to connect to what you say. This will open up a whole new realm of existence to us all in Mitzvah Hashem. Any comments?